Hello, everybody. Welcome. In this video, I'm going to walk through how to start a web project or a website. Let's say, for instance, you didn't have any clue on how to get started with building a website. That's what I'm going to walk through in this short video. So the editor I'm using here is an editor called Visual Studio Code. You can download this editor from a website called, I'll give you the URL here. It's, let's say, code.visualstudio.com, and you can download this text editor from this site here. If you just click on download for Windows, stable build. And that's what you're seeing here right in front of you. And let's go and get started here with building or constructing our website. So here, when you first open up this editor, you're going to see some icons here. In the upcoming videos, I'm going to walk through each of the meaning of each of these icons and what these icons represent. This first one here is the Explorer icon. So if you click on the Explorer, it's going to show you two different buttons. One is the Open Folder button and the Close Repository button. Whenever you're starting a web project, the first thing you want to do is create a folder, right? So what I want to do is minimize the screen here. And what I want to do here is create a folder on my desktop. Now you can create this folder anywhere you want. But in this case here, just for this quick iteration, I want to right click and create a new folder here. So I just essentially right click with my mouse. I'm going to call this app salute underscore and then relative. All right, so that's my folder, and what I'm going to do is now open that folder within my text editor. So I'll go back up to my text editor, and I'm going to open the folder. I can either open it here and say open folder, or I can say file, open folder, and click on the folder that I just created. So I've opened that folder here. I have this welcome screen up. I'm going to click off that welcome screen, and I have this folder here with the open in my text editor. So you'll see some different tabs here. You'll see open editor, absolute versus relative. That's my folder that's currently open. You'll see the outline and timeline. What I'm most concerned about here is this absolute underscore relative. The cool thing about Visual Studio Code is that it gives you these icons where you can begin to create the folder structure that we discussed in the previous video. And so that folder structure here, I'm going to create an IMG folder. To create that folder here, here's an icon that says new folder. So I'll create new folder, IMG. And the IMG is going to contain all of my different graphics and images that's going to be contained within this web page. Or I can name this IMAGES, right? Either way, right? A hierarchical folder structure is just a way of organizing the files in your project folder. So in this case here, I'm going to say IMG. That'll suffice for now. And then here, I'm going to create a HTML document. And you'll see that there's an icon here that I can click on to create that file. I'm going to say, I'll just call this index.html. The important thing here is that I give it the file extension of .html. That's what's going to allow me, that's what's going to allow this file to be a HTML hypertext markup language document. You'll also see that by giving it the .html extension, it'll give me the color syntax highlighting that I need, or that will be helpful for me within this editor. So I'll click on that, and you'll see that the index.html file is open within my editor. What I'm going to start off with here is begin to code out. I'm going to start to code out the document, or code out my web page. You may be asking the question, what web page am I coding out here? And I'll just show you here. So this is the page that I'll be coding out, right? So everything that you see here, the course, CWeb 1010, this image, and we'll bring in this image and we'll put it into our images folder. And then we're going to use the appropriate markup language to mark up this document, all right? And so pretty much anything that you see in print, you can essentially translate it into web format using HTML. And HTML gives the structure, provides structure to the content you're going to have within your web document. All right, so let's go ahead and code this out here. So the first tag you'll always put when you're creating an HTML document is one called the doc type. The purpose of the doc type here is to signify what rules are going to play by, right? But also it tells you the version of HTML. So when you go to validate your work, it's going to see this doc type.html, doc type HTML, and it's going to say, oh, this signifies HTML5. So we're going to basically validate this document according to HTML5 standards. And we talked about who sets those standards, and that's W3C. And so that is the first tag that you will put in every HTML document, is the doc type. The next tag here is going to be the root HTML tag. And basically every tag that you put into this document is going to be a child of the opening and closing HTML root tag. So I just put a comment here, and this is the way that you would comment in HTML. The two immediate children of the root HTML tag is going to be the head and the body. And you'll notice that there's some indentation that's happening here within this document. And the reason we indent is to show that these two tags are children of the HTML tag. And this is called a good coding practice. So you want to indent your work or indent the tags when they're a child of another tag. And so the head and the body are children, are nested between the opening and the closing HTML tag. And so in this case here, we want to indent. Right. Essentially, what you're looking at here is the basic HTML page structure. And this is how every HTML document starts off. Right. Let me just say a few more words about the head tag as well as the body tag. And in the next video, we'll dive more into what tags will serve as children to the head and the body. So the head is the tag where here's a good example. So the head is a collection of metadata for the document. It communicates, in my words here, it communicates information about the document. And so there's a tag called the title, and that title, and we're actually going to put the title tag in here. And we'll say, you'll see that the title essentially shows up as a tab within the browser. So if we were to save this and go to our folder, let's see here, and we were to click on this, you'll see that the title shows up as absolute versus relative file paths. And that's a tag that you would only find within the head of your document. And then here, the body is what's going to basically display everything that gets rendered in the browser. So let me just show you a quick example of this here. So I'm going to go back up to our document here. Let's go to espn.com here. There's a quick sample website. I'm going to right click. I'm going to use something called Google Chrome Inspect Tools, Web Developer Inspect Tools here. So I'll right click and I'll just click Inspect. You'll see here's that basic HTML document structure. Now this is definitely flushed out, but here's the doc type, here's the root HTML tag, here's the head, here's the body. But watch what the purpose of the body is. If I right click and I delete this tag or this element, you'll see that it deleted everything that was visually rendered in the browser. And so the purpose of the body tag is to visually render all of the content that is contained within your HTML document. So at a very base level here, this is the basic HTML structure that you'll start with in terms of creating every document that's going to exist, or every web page that's going to exist within your site.